The Great Hall of Nexus Prime was the most beautiful place in the galaxy. Crystal walls reached up to the sky, glowing with soft blue light. The floor was made of smooth white stone that seemed to shine from inside. 12 tall chairs sat in a circle, each one different from the others. Each chair was made for a different alien race. Taihanwu Park stood in the center of the circle. He was a tall man with black hair and kind eyes. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. On his chest was a small pin with the symbol of Earth, a blue and green planet surrounded by stars. Haiyanwu had been Earth's voice to the galaxy for 5 years. He had made many friends among the alien races. He had helped solve trade problems and border disputes. He thought today would be another normal meeting. He was wrong. The Veltharian High Judge floated above the tallest chair. The Veltharians had no solid bodies. They were beings made of pure energy that glowed like small suns. When the High Judge spoke, its voice filled the entire hall. "We have made our decision about the human race," the High Judge said. Its voice was cold and final. After long discussion, all 12 council races agree. Humans are too dangerous to remain in our galactic community. Haiyanwu felt his heart stop. "Your Honor, I don't understand. What have we done wrong?" The Zephyrian representative stood up. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin birds with silver feathers. "Your people fight too much," it said in a high, sharp voice. "In just 50 years, since first contact, humans have been involved in 12 conflicts, but we were helping smaller races defend themselves," Haiyanwu said. "We stopped the Corvan Empire from enslaving the Deltans. We helped the mining colonies fight off pirates." The Thrakari ambassador slammed a huge fist on its chair's arm. The Thrakari were like giant bears covered in thick fur. "That is exactly the problem," it roared. "You humans always think fighting is the answer. We have kept peace in this galaxy for 3,000 years by talking, not fighting." Haiyanwu looked around the circle. He had shared meals with many of these beings. He had laughed with them and worked with them. Now they all stared at him with cold eyes. The crystalline delegates spoke next. The crystallines were living rocks that sparkled like diamonds. When they talked, their voices sounded like wind chimes. "Your technology grows too fast," it said. 50 years ago, you had barely left your solar system. Now your ships are almost as fast as ours. This is not natural." "We learn quickly," Haiyanwu said. "Is that a crime?" The aquatic ambassador made bubbling sounds that the translator turned into words. The aquatics lived in water and looked like large fish with arms. "Your people refuse to follow proper order," it said. "Every other race knows its place. The Veltharians lead because they are wisest. The Thrakari provide strength. The Zephyrians explore new worlds, but humans want to do everything themselves." Haiyanwu felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "We believe every person should have the chance to choose their own path. That doesn't make us dangerous." The High Judge's glow grew brighter. "That belief is exactly why you are dangerous. Individual choice leads to chaos. For 3,000 years, we have maintained order by each race accepting their role. Humans reject this wisdom. What about all the good we've done?" Haiyanwu asked. "Human doctors have cured diseases that plagued your worlds for centuries. Human engineers built the new space stations around Proxima 7. Human artists created the music halls on New Centauri." The ethereal representative drifted forward. The ethereals were ghost-like beings that were barely visible. "These achievements mean nothing," it whispered. "Your art is too emotional. Your music makes people feel things they should not feel. Your stories speak of rebellion and change. You spread dangerous ideas." Haiyanwu realized that this trial was not about what humans had done wrong. It was about what they were. The council feared human nature itself. "Your Honor," Haiyanwu said, "we request the right to defend ourselves. Let us show you data about human contributions to galactic society." "No," the High Judge said. "We have seen enough. The decision is made." The insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles. The insectoids looked like giant ants that walked on 2 legs. "The Exiled decree is as follows." It buzzed. "All human colonies must withdraw beyond the outer rim within 1 standard year. All trade agreements with human worlds are terminated immediately. Any human vessel found in council space after the deadline will be destroyed without warning." Haiyanwu's hands shook. "You're condemning billions of innocent people to die in the outer darkness. The worlds beyond the rim are dead rocks and cosmic storms. Nothing can survive there." "That is not our concern," the High Judge said. "You have 72 standard hours to relay this message to your homeworld. After that, your diplomatic immunity ends." The symbiotic pair spoke together. The symbiotics were 2 different species that had evolved to live as one. "This decision cannot be changed," they said in harmony. The vote was unanimous. 12 races, 0 opposition. Haiyanwu looked at each council member one last time. These beings he had thought were friends. These civilizations he had hoped to learn from. They watched him with faces that showed no emotion. "I have one question," Haiyanwu said. "In all your 3,000 years of peace, how many new worlds have you explored? How many new technologies have you invented? How many times have you helped a race in need without asking what you would get in return? The hall fell silent. Your peace is built on fear, Hyenwu continued. Fear of change, fear of growth, fear of anything different. You call us dangerous because we refuse to be afraid. But maybe the real danger is a galaxy that has stopped trying to be better. The High Judge's glow turned red with anger. Remove him from our sight. The security robots moved toward Hyenwu. They were tall metal beings with blue lights for eyes. Hyenwu raised his hand to stop them. I'll leave on my own, he said. But remember this day. Remember the day you chose fear over hope. Hyenwu walked out of the great hall with his head held high. His footsteps echoed on the crystal floor. Behind him, the 12 races sat in silence. Outside the hall, Hyenwu's assistant waited for him. Janae was a young woman with bright eyes and short black hair. She had worked with the diplomatic mission for 2 years. Sir, what happened? She asked. The security alert said your meeting was over. We're going home, Janae Hyenwu said. All of us, pack everything, we leave in 1 hour. I don't understand. Sir, Hyenwu looked up at the crystal towers of Nexus Prime. This beautiful city that had welcomed him for 5 years now felt cold and empty. They've exiled us, he said. The entire human race. They think we're too dangerous for their perfect galaxy. Janae's face went pale. What will we do? Hyenwu smiled for the first time that day. It was not a happy smile, but it was not a defeated one either. We'll do what humans have always done, he said. We'll survive, and then we'll build something better. As they walked toward the human ship, Terra's Pride, Hyenwu sent an encrypted message to Earth. The message was short but important. Operation Horizon begins now. The ship lifted off from Nexus Prime 30 minutes later. As they flew away, Hyenwu watched the crystal city shrink below them. He thought about the choice the council had made. They had meant to destroy humanity by sending them into the dark. They had no idea they had just set humanity free. 6 months had passed since the exile order. Admiral Sujin Kim stood on the bridge of her flagship New Seoul, watching the biggest movement of people in human history. Through the wide windows, she could see hundreds of ships flying through space. Some were huge cargo vessels carrying entire cities. Others were small family ships with just a few people aboard. Sujin was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair. She had been in space for 30 years, fighting pirates and exploring new worlds. Now she had the hardest job of her life, moving every human in the galaxy to safety. Status report, she said to her crew. Lieutenant Donghaen turned from his station. He was young and nervous, but very smart. Ma'am, we have evacuated 847 colonies so far. That's 12.4 billion people and all their belongings. Only 23 settlements left to go. Good work, Sujin said. What about the council ships? Are they still watching us? Yes, ma'am. They keep their distance, but they're making sure we leave. Some of their captains seemed confused. Sujin smiled. She knew why the council ships were confused. They had expected to find desperate refugees fleeing for their lives. Instead, they found something very different. The human colonies were not the simple farming towns the council thought they were. When the evacuation began, the truth came out. The farming colony on Beta 7 had been secretly building the most advanced spacecraft in the galaxy. The mining station in the crater belt had developed new metals stronger than anything the council had ever seen. Even the research outpost on frozen rock had been working on engines that could fold space itself. Every human settlement had been doing 2 jobs. On the surface, they looked normal and peaceful. Underneath, they were pushing the limits of technology and science. Ma'am, called Engineer Heywan from across the bridge. She was a tall woman with bright eyes who loved solving impossible problems. The cargo manifests are ready. You're going to want to see this. Sujin walked over to Heywan's station. The screen showed lists of everything the human colonies were taking with them. The numbers made Sujin's eyes grow wide. 300 fusion reactors, she asked. Where did we get 300 fusion reactors? Colony New Busan was making them in secret, Heywan said. They told the council they were building water purifiers. Their reactors were hidden inside the factory buildings. What about these fabrication units? It says here, we have enough manufacturing equipment to build entire cities. Colony New Incheon, Heywan replied. They claimed they were making farm tools. Actually, they were developing machines that can build anything from basic materials. Sujin scrolled through more of the list. Food processing plants that could feed millions. Medical equipment that could cure diseases the council had never solved. Communication systems that could send messages across the galaxy instantly. How long have we been preparing for this? Sujin asked. Since first contact, Heywan said, the government knew this day might come. Every colony had secret orders to develop technology and prepare for evacuation. On the main screen, a message appeared from Dr. Minho Lee. He was the head of human xenobiology and one of the smartest people alive. His face looked excited. Admiral, he said, I've been studying the alien technology left behind on the abandoned worlds. I've found something incredible. What is it? Dr. Humans are unique in the galaxy. Every other race can only use their own technology. A Thrakari can't operate Zephyrian machines. A crystalline can't understand aquatic science. But humans can learn and improve any technology we encounter. This was big news. Sujin had always wondered why humans learned so fast. Now she knew. Doctor, how many abandoned technologies have you found? Thousands of items. Admiral, weapons, engines, computers, medical devices. The council races throw away anything they can't use, but we can use it all. The communication ended. Sujin looked out at the fleet of human ships. Each one was now more valuable than she had realized. They weren't just carrying people and supplies. They were carrying the knowledge to build a new civilization. Ma'am, Lieutenant Dong Hyan called out. We're approaching the outer rim. The council escort ships are turning back. Good, Sujin said. Now we can see what's really out there. The human fleet crossed the invisible line that marked the edge of council space. Beyond lay the dark sector, a region of space that no council race had ever explored. The council claimed it was too dangerous, full of cosmic storms and deadly radiation. But as the human ships flew deeper into the dark sector, they found something surprising. The space wasn't empty at all. There were hundreds of star systems, rich with planets and resources. The deadly radiation was actually energy that human technology could harvest and use. Admiral, called Navigator Kyung. He was an old man who had been mapping space for 40 years. I'm detecting a large asteroid field ahead. It's unusual. How unusual? The asteroids are arranged in patterns, almost like someone put them there on purpose, and I'm reading massive mineral deposits. Rare metals, energy crystals, elements I don't even recognize. Sujin studied the readings. The asteroid field was huge, bigger than most solar systems. Hidden inside it were rocks, containing enough resources to build 1,000 cities. This is it, she said. This is where we make our new home. The human fleet entered the asteroid field carefully. The rocks were bigger than mountains, spinning slowly in the darkness. Between them, safe harbors perfect for building space stations. Begin Operation New Terra, Sujin ordered. Start with the construction ships. I want living areas set up within the week. The next few days were like watching magic happen. Human engineering teams landed on the biggest asteroids and began hollowing them out. The rocks became the framework for cities. Fusion reactors provided power. The fabrication units started building homes, schools, and hospitals inside the asteroids. Worker teams found caves full of crystal formations that could store energy. Mining crews discovered veins of metal that could repair itself. Scientists identified gases that could be turned into breathable air. Admiral, reported Chief Engineer Taemin, the main habitat is ready. We can house 50,000 people in the first section alone. Sujin toured the new city they were calling New Terra. The main street was carved from solid rock, but it was lit by warm, bright lights. Gardens grew in chambers where artificial sun provided energy for plants. Children played in parks built inside mountain-sized asteroids. How long until we can support everyone? She asked. At this rate, 6 months, Taemin said. But Admiral, I have to tell you something. This place is incredible. The asteroids aren't just rocks, they're full of technology. What kind of technology? Ancient stuff. Machines built into the rocks themselves. Some of it still works. Dr. Minho thinks it's millions of years old. Sujin felt a chill of excitement. First, they had discovered that humans could use any alien technology. Now they had found a treasure trove of ancient machines. Have we activated any of it? Just small things so far. Lights, basic computers, simple tools. But Admiral, there are bigger machines, deeper in the asteroids. Much bigger. That evening, Sujin stood in her new office, carved from crystal and metal inside the asteroid that would become New Terra's capital. Outside her window, she could see human ships arriving every hour, bringing more families to their new home. She opened a communication to Earth and all the human colonies. Her message was broadcast to every human in the galaxy. My fellow humans, she said, 6 months ago, the Galactic Council called us too dangerous for their perfect galaxy. They sent us into the darkness, expecting us to die. Instead, we have found something wonderful. We have found freedom. On her desk lay reports from the science teams. The ancient technology was beyond anything humans had ever seen. The asteroids contained machines that could manipulate matter at the atomic level. There were computers that could process information faster than light. There were energy sources that could power entire star systems. The council thought they were punishing us. Sujin continued in her message. But they have given us the greatest gift possible. They have given us the chance to become something new. She looked out at the lights of New Terra, spreading through the asteroid field like stars being born. We came here as refugees, but we will not stay refugees. We will build something the galaxy has never seen. Something better than what we left behind. The message ended. In the darkness of the dark sector, surrounded by ancient mysteries and unlimited resources, humanity began to grow into something the Galactic Council had never imagined. They had tried to exile the human race, to slow death in the outer darkness. Instead, they had planted the seeds of the greatest empire the galaxy would ever know. 5 years had passed since humans first entered the dark sector. Captain Jae-sung piloted his exploration ship, Star Hunter, through a region of space that had never been mapped before. Behind him flew a small fleet of human vessels, each one equipped with the most advanced sensors in the galaxy. Jae-sung was a quiet man with thoughtful eyes. He had spent his whole life exploring space, but the dark sector was different from anywhere he had been. Every star system held new wonders. Every planet told a different story. Captain called his science officer, Young-hee. She was a young woman who loved solving mysteries. I'm detecting another ancient structure ahead. This one is bigger than the others. Through the ship's windows, Jae-sung could see a massive ring of metal floating in space. It was easily 100 kilometers across, covered with lights that pulsed in strange patterns. The metal was black as night, but seemed to shine with its own inner light. How many does that make? Jae-sung asked. This is the 847th ancient structure we've found, Young-hee replied. Captain, whoever built these things had technology we can barely understand. Over the past 5 years, human exploration teams had mapped over 200 star systems in the dark sector. What they found changed everything humans thought they knew about the galaxy. The dark sector was an empty wilderness. It was full of the ruins of an ancient civilization. The builders had called themselves the architects. They had built cities that floated in space, machines that could move planets, and computers that could think like living beings. But they were gone now, leaving only their incredible technology behind. Take us closer, Jae-sung ordered. But carefully, we don't want to trigger any defense systems. The Star Hunter approached the giant ring. As they got nearer, panels on the ring began to glow brighter. Suddenly, a beam of light scanned their ship from top to bottom. Captain, it's reading our ship's computer, Young-hee said nervously. Should I raise shields? No, Jae-sung said. Let it scan us. The architect technology has never hurt us before. The scan completed, and the ring opened like a flower. Inside was a docking bay that seemed to be built exactly for human ships. Lights guided them to a landing platform that fit their vessel perfectly. How did it know? Young-hee whispered. The architects were smart, Jae-sung said, maybe smarter than we realize. Meanwhile, back on New Terra, engineer Young-mi Choi was having the best day of her life. She stood in the newest laboratory, surrounded by machines that most humans could only dream about. In her hands was a piece of architect technology that could change the course of human civilization. Young-mi was a small woman with quick hands and a brilliant mind. For 2 years, she had been leading teams that studied architect devices. They had learned to copy some of the simpler machines. But today was different. Today, they had figured out how the big ones worked. Director, she called to her boss, Dr. Sung-woo. He was an older man who had been studying alien technology for 20 years. The dimensional folder is working. Dr. Sung-woo hurried over to Young-mi's workstation. On the table was a device the size of a briefcase. It looked simple, just smooth metal with a few glowing buttons. But inside the briefcase was a space bigger than a football stadium. You actually got it working, Dr. Sung-woo asked in amazement. Watch this, Young-mi said. She opened the briefcase. Inside was a vast room filled with equipment and supplies. She reached in and pulled out a chair that was bigger than the briefcase itself. Incredible, Dr. Sung-woo said. How much can it hold? We're not sure yet, Young-mi replied. But the readings suggest almost unlimited space. Captain, we could fit an entire city inside something this small. This was just one of many breakthroughs happening across human space. In the asteroid factories, workers had learned to build materials that were stronger than diamond but lighter than air. In the energy labs, scientists had figured out how to harvest power from the cosmic storms that raged through the dark sector. New Terra's largest asteroid. Governor Tae-hyun Shin was reading reports that made him smile. Tae-hyun was a practical man who had spent his career solving problems. The problem of building a civilization in the middle of nowhere was the biggest challenge he had ever faced. But humans were winning. Status report, he said to his assistant, Minhyun. She was a smart young woman who kept track of everything happening in human space. Population is now 15.2 billion across 50 major settlements, Minyoung reported. Food production is 150% of need. Energy production is at 300% of consumption. Manufacturing capacity is growing by 12% every month. What about the new colonies? Excellent news, sir. Colony New Gangnam has successfully terraformed 3 dead planets using architect atmospheric processors. Colony New Daegu has established the first permanent settlement inside a gas giant. And Colony New Ulsan has built a city that exists in 4 dimensions at once. Tae-hyun shook his head in wonder. 5 years ago, humans had been refugees fleeing into the darkness. Now they were doing things that the Galactic Council said were impossible. Any word from the exploration fleets? Captain Jae-sung reports another major discovery. They've found what appears to be an architect data storage facility. Dr. Byeora-han is leading the team to investigate it. Dr. Byeora-han was humanity's best sinorchaeologist. She studied ancient alien cultures and could read languages that had been dead for millions of years. If anyone could unlock the secrets of the architects, it was her. Biora stood inside the architect data facility, staring at walls covered with symbols that glowed with soft light. The facility was huge, built inside a hollow moon. Every surface was covered with information storage crystals that contained more data than all of human civilization had ever produced. "Have you found anything?" asked her assistant, Kung Su. He was a young man who had joined her team, fresh from university. "Yes," Biora said quietly, "and it's not what we expected." She had been working for 3 days to decode the architect language. It was incredibly complex, using colors, sounds, and even gravity waves to convey meaning, but she had finally cracked it. "What does it say?" Kung Su asked. Bo-Ra touched one of the glowing crystals, and the wall came alive with images. They showed a galaxy very different from the one humans knew. There were thousands of different species, all working together, all free to grow and explore and create. "This is the galaxy as it was 50,000 years ago," Biora explained. "Before the Galactic Council existed, the architects weren't just one species, they were an alliance of hundreds of races. The images showed incredible cities that spanned entire solar systems, ships that could travel between galaxies, beings of pure energy working alongside creatures of metal and stone. What happened to them?" Kung Su asked. Biora touched another crystal. New images appeared, darker ones. They showed the rise of a group called the Ancient Council. This council believed in order above all else. They thought the galaxy was too chaotic, too dangerous. The Ancient Council declared the Architect Alliance too dangerous to exist, Biora said. They claimed that having so many species working together would lead to chaos and war. The images showed great battles. The Ancient Council had built huge fleets and attacked the Architect worlds. But the architects were too advanced to be destroyed by force. So they exiled them, Biora continued. "Just like what happened to us. The Ancient Council forced the Architect Alliance out of the galaxy, but the architects didn't die." Kung Su realized. "No," Biora said. "They evolved. They became something beyond physical form. But before they left, they hid their technology for whoever would be brave enough to claim it." The final images showed the architect's last message. It was addressed to the next species brave enough to reject the Council's fear. The message was simple: learn from our mistakes. Be better than we were. Build something that will last. Biora sent her findings to every human colony. The news spread quickly through human space. The architects had been exiled just like humans, but they had used their exile to become something greater. That night, people across human space looked up at the stars with new understanding. They weren't the first to be cast out by a fearful council. They wouldn't be the last, but they would be the ones to break the cycle. On New Terra, Governor Taehyun called an emergency meeting of human leaders. Representatives from every colony attended by hologram, filling the great assembly hall with images of people from across the dark sector. "Fellow humans," Taehyun began, "we now know the truth about our situation. We were exiled not because we were truly dangerous, but because we represented change. The council fears change more than anything else." Murmurs spread through the assembly. Everyone had read Dr. Biora's report. The architects tried to build a better galaxy, Taehyun continued. They failed because they allowed themselves to be driven away. "We will not make the same mistake." Admiral Su-jin stood up from her seat. "What are you proposing, Governor?" "I'm proposing that we stop running," Taehyun said. "The galaxy needs us. It needs our ideas, our technology, our willingness to try new things. If the council won't accept us as we are, then we'll build something better." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would no longer be content to hide in the dark sector. They would become what the galaxy needed, a force for growth, exploration, and hope. As the meeting ended, people across human space looked toward the stars with new purpose. 15 years had passed since humanity's exile began. Supreme Commander Dayun Kong stood on the observation deck of the massive space station Terra Nova, looking out at the most incredible sight in the galaxy. 50 star systems stretched before her, each one blazing with the lights of human civilization. Dayun was a strong woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen many battles. She had been chosen to lead the Terran Federation because she understood both war and peace. Under her command, humanity had grown from desperate refugees into the most powerful force the galaxy had ever known. "Status report," she said to her aide, Lieutenant Sang-ho. He was a young officer who kept track of the Federation's vast territories. "Ma'am, all 50 systems are operating at full capacity," Sang-ho reported. "Population has reached 45 billion, across 200 major colonies. Our newest settlements are now building cities inside black holes and harvesting energy from the event horizons." Dayun nodded. The reports still amazed her sometimes. Humanity had learned to do things that the Galactic Council claimed were impossible. They lived in environments that would kill other species instantly. They had turned the most dangerous regions of space into thriving communities. "What about our technology programs? The dimensional fold drives are now standard on all ships. We can travel anywhere in the galaxy in minutes instead of months. Our defensive systems can bend space-time to protect entire planets, and the matter converters can turn asteroids into anything we need. Through the observation deck windows, Dayun could see ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. Human vessels no longer looked like the crude metal boxes of 15 years ago. They were works of art that seemed to be made of crystallized light and flowing energy. The biggest ships were city-sized, carrying millions of people between the stars. The smallest were one-person craft that could fold space around themselves and appear anywhere instantly. All of them used technology that made council ships look like ancient relics. Ma'am, Seng-Ho continued, Chancellor Wu-Jin requests a meeting about the refugee situation. Dayun smiled. The refugee situation was one of her favorite problems to have. Chancellor Wu-Jin met her in the Federation Council chambers. Wu-Jin was a wise man who had helped create the government that ruled human space. Unlike the rigid council system, the Terran Federation valued everyone's contributions regardless of their species or background. Commander Wu-Jin said, "We have a problem, a good problem, but still a problem. How many this time?" 15,000 beings from various council worlds arrived this week asking for citizenship. That brings the total to over 2 million non-human residents in Federation. Space Dayun was not surprised. For years, word had been spreading through the galaxy about the human empire in the dark sector. Stories told of a civilization where anyone could rise to their full potential, where new ideas were welcomed instead of feared, where individual dreams mattered as much as collective order. The stories attracted beings from across the galaxy. Scientists whose research had been banned by the council. Artists whose work was considered too emotional. Engineers who wanted to build impossible things, philosophers who dared to question the old ways. What kinds of beings are we talking about? Dayun asked. Mostly young ones, Wu-Jin replied, Zephyrians who want to study human music, crystallines who are fascinated by our dimensional technology, even some Thrakari who prefer our direct approach to problem solving, and they all want to stay. They don't just want to stay, Wu-Jin said with a grin, they want to contribute. The Zephyrian musicians have created entirely new art forms. The crystalline scientists have improved our energy storage systems by 400%. The Thrakari engineers are building structures that make our cities even more beautiful. This was the great secret of the Terran Federation. It wasn't just human anymore, it was becoming something new, a society where the best ideas from every species could flourish. Together, what does the council think about all this? Dayun asked. They're not happy, Wu-Jin admitted. Some council worlds are losing their brightest citizens to us. They've started calling it the human plague, the idea that individual freedom is more important than social order. Dayun walked to the window and looked out at Terra Nova. The space station was a city floating in space, with gardens that spiraled around great towers of crystal and metal. In the parks, human children played alongside young aliens who had found new homes in Federation space. Are they threatening us? Not yet, Wu-Jin said, but their patrol ships have been spotted near our borders. I think they're trying to decide what to do about us. The decision came sooner than expected. Captain Unesio Park was on routine patrol near the edge of Federation space when her sensors detected something unusual. A group of council ships was drifting helplessly in the middle of a cosmic storm. Unesio was a calm woman who had been exploring space for most of her adult life. She had seen cosmic storms before, massive hurricanes of energy that could tear apart entire fleets. The council ships were trapped in the middle of one, their hulls cracking under the incredible forces. Ma'am called her navigator high-end. Those are aquatic ships. 5 vessels with about 3,000 crew members aboard. Their engines are failing. Are they sending a distress signal? No, ma'am. I think they're too proud to ask for help. Unesio studied the readings. The cosmic storm was growing stronger. In a few hours, it would tear the council ships apart. The aquatic crews would all die. Take us in, she ordered. Ma'am, that's a council fleet. Technically, they're our enemies. No, Unesio said firmly. They're people in trouble. That makes them our responsibility. The human ship, New Horizon, dove into the cosmic storm. The energy waves that would have destroyed council vessels barely affected the advanced Federation ship. Its shields bent the storm's force around the hull like water flowing around a rock. Open a channel to the lead aquatic ship, Unesio ordered. The face of an aquatic captain appeared on screen. The fish-like being was clearly surprised to see a human ship, human vessel. The aquatic captain said, "We do not require your assistance, Captain." Unesio replied politely, "Your ships are about to be torn apart. We can tow you to safety. We are council forces. You are exiled humans. There is no reason for you to help us." Unesio smiled. "There's every reason. Your people in danger. That's all the reason we needed." It took 6 hours to rescue all 5 council ships. The New Horizon used advanced tractor beams to pull them out of the storm one by one. Federation engineers beamed aboard the damaged vessels and made emergency repairs with technology the council had never seen. When the rescue was complete, the aquatic captain contacted Unesio again. Human captain, he said, we thank you for your assistance. But why? Your people were exiled by the council. We would have understood if you had left us to die. Because that's not who we are. Unesio replied, we help people because it's the right thing to do, not because we expect something in return. Before the council ships departed, Unesio gave the aquatic captain a message. Crystal, what is this? He asked. An invitation, Unesio said. The door is always open for those who seek something better. The message crystal contained coordinates for Federation space and a simple message. Everyone deserves the chance to reach their full potential. Word of the rescue spread quickly through the galaxy. Other stories followed. Human medical ships treating plague victims on council worlds without asking for payment. Human engineers helping to repair damaged space stations. Human scientists sharing their discoveries freely with anyone who wanted to learn. The beings of the galaxy began to ask questions they had never asked before. Why were the dangerous humans helping their enemies? Why were the exiled humans more advanced than the council? Why were young people from every species talking about joining the Federation? On the council world of Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were held in the Great Crystal Halls. The same chambers where humanity had been sentenced to exile 15 years earlier now echoed with worried voices. The Veltharian High Judge floated above the assembly, its energy form flickering with concern. The human situation has become problematic, it said. The Thrakari representative slammed his fist on his chair. They were supposed to die in the outer darkness. Instead, they've built an empire that makes us look primitive. Our young people are leaving, added the Zephyrian delegate. They speak of human ideals and individual freedom. They no longer respect the natural order. The crystalline ambassador sparkled with nervous energy. Perhaps we should consider negotiation. The humans have made it clear they bear us no ill will. Negotiation, the ethereal representative whispered. With beings we declared too dangerous to exist, that would be admitting we were wrong. The High Judge's glow dimmed as it considered the problem. The council had built their civilization on the idea that they were superior to all other beings. That their way was the only right way. The existence of the Terran Federation challenged everything they believed. There is another option, the insectoid delegate clicked. We could, invite them back. Offer them a place in the council as equals. The hall fell silent. In 3,000 years of council history, no exiled species had ever been readmitted. No, the High Judge said finally. We cannot appear weak. 25 years had passed since humanity's exile. The news came without warning, spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. Ships the size of moons had appeared at the galaxy's edge, consuming entire star systems as they advanced. The beings aboard these ships called themselves the Devourers, and they had come to feed. Emperor Jinwu Li stood in the command center of Terra Prima, humanity's magnificent capital world. Around him, holographic displays showed the terrifying advance of the Devourer fleet. Star after star winked out as the alien ships consumed everything in their path. Jinwu was a tall man with kind eyes and gray hair who had been elected to lead the Terran Federation 5 years earlier. He had hoped his term would be peaceful, focused on exploration and growth. Instead, he faced the greatest crisis in galactic history. How long until they reach council space? He asked his military advisor, General Su Young. At their current speed, 6 months. The general replied. She was a small woman with fierce eyes who had spent her career preparing for threats from outside the galaxy. But Jinwu, our scouts report something disturbing. The Devourers aren't just destroying worlds, they're learning from them. What do you mean? Every system they consume makes them stronger. They absorb the technology, the knowledge, even the life force of entire civilizations. By the time they reach us, they'll be more powerful than we can imagine. Through the command center's great windows, Jinwu could see the wonders of Terra Prima. The planet was a garden world where floating cities drifted among the clouds. Connected by bridges of crystallized light, orbital rings surrounded the world, each one containing millions of homes and gardens. It was the crown jewel of human civilization. What about the council? Jinwu asked. Have they requested our help? General Su Young's expression grew grim. They're trying to fight alone. 3 council fleets have already engaged the Devourers. All 3 were completely destroyed. On the main display, a new message alert appeared. The transmission was coming from the edge of Federation space. Jinwu authorized the connection, and the image that appeared shocked everyone in the room. High Counselor Velthara materialized in the hologram. It was the same Veltharian energy being who had cast the deciding vote for humanity's exiled years earlier. But now, instead of the bright, confident glow, Jinwu remembered, Velthara's light was dim and flickering. Emperor Li Velthara said, its voice filled with desperation. I come before you as a representative of the Galactic Council to request your assistance. The command center fell silent. Everyone present understood the magnitude of this moment. The same being who had condemned humanity to exile was now begging for their help. High Counselor, Jinwu said calmly, please continue. The Devourers are destroying everything in their path. Velthara continued. Worlds that have existed for millions of years are gone. Entire species have been consumed. Our greatest fleets are no match for their technology. Ginwu looked around the room at his advisors. Some faces showed anger. These people remembered the exile, the years of struggle in the dark sector. Others showed sympathy for the billions of innocent beings who would die if the devourers weren't stopped. What exactly are you asking of us? Jinwu asked. We need your technology, Velthar admitted. Your ships, your weapons, your your innovations. The galaxy is dying. Emperor, only the Terran Federation has the power to stop this threat. General Su Yung stepped forward. High Counselor, 25 years ago, your council declared humanity too dangerous to exist in the galaxy. You exiled us to die in the outer darkness. Why should we help you now? Velthar's glow dimmed even further. Because because we were wrong. We have always been wrong. The galaxy needs your strength, your creativity, your refusal to accept defeat. We were fools to cast you out. Jinwu was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was measured and thoughtful. High Counselor, I will consider your request. But first, you must understand something. We are no longer the same humans. You exiled. We have grown beyond what you could imagine. If we agree to help, it will be on our terms. What terms? Velthora asked desperately. First, the exile decree must be formally rescinded. Humanity will be recognized as a full member of the galactic community with equal rights and representation. Second, the rigid species hierarchies that led to our exile must be reformed. The galaxy needs a government based on merit and contribution, not ancient prejudices. And third, Velthora whispered. Third, this will not be a council operation with human support. This will be a joint operation with human leadership. Our generals will command the fleet. Our scientists will develop the strategy. Our technology will provide the foundation for defense. The hologram flickered as Velthora considered the terms. Finally, the High Counselor spoke. Agreed. All conditions are accepted. Emperor Li, when can your forces be ready? Jinwu smiled, not with happiness, but with grim determination. High Counselor, we've been ready for 25 years. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of activity. Federation shipyards worked around the clock, producing vessels that made even human engineers gasp in amazement. The flagship Terra Invictus was larger than most space stations, its hull forged from materials that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. Admiral Hyanwu Park, the same man who had received humanity's exile sentence decades earlier, now commanded the largest fleet in galactic history. He stood on the bridge of the Terra Invictus, watching as ships from every species in the galaxy assembled for the final battle. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, Youngjin, all ships are in position. 10,000 Federation vessels, 50,000 Council ships from 12 species, and 100,000 support craft. What's our technological advantage? Hyanwu asked. Complete, sir. The Devourers base their power on absorption and adaptation, but our architect-enhanced technology exists partially outside normal spacetime. They can't absorb what they can't fully interact with. Through the bridge windows, Hyanwu could see the Devourer fleet approaching. The alien ships were massive, dark forms that seemed to bend light around themselves. Each one was the size of a small moon, covered with thousands of smaller craft that swarmed around them like insects. Sir Youngjin called out, the Devourer fleet is attempting to communicate. Put them through. The main screen filled with an image that made several crew members step back in fear. The Devourer commander was a being of pure hunger, a shifting mass of dark energy that consumed light itself. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from the depths of space. Inferior biological forms, it said, you cannot comprehend our purpose. We have consumed 1,000 galaxies. Your resistance is meaningless. Hyanwu stepped forward, his voice calm and confident. I am Admiral Hyanwu Park, of the Terran Federation. You have entered our galaxy without permission and committed acts of war against its inhabitants. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. The Devourer commander's form rippled with what might have been laughter. Your species is young and weak. We have faced civilizations that spanned multiple galaxies. None could stand against us. Those civilizations, Hyanwu replied, were human. The battle that followed became known as the War of Galactic Liberation. The Devourer ships launched the first attack, sending waves of dark energy that had destroyed every previous fleet they faced. But the human shields held, bending the energy around them like water flowing around stone. The Federation fleet responded with weapons that violated every known law of physics. Dimensional torpedoes that existed in multiple realities simultaneously. Gravity bombs that created miniature black holes. Energy beams that could cut through the fabric of space itself. Sir Youngjin reported, the Devourer fleet is adapting to our attacks. They're beginning to absorb our energy weapons. Switch to kinetic bombardment, Hyanwu ordered. Load the stellar manipulation charges. What happened next had never been attempted in galactic history. Human ships fired projectiles that contained the compressed power of entire stars. When they struck the Devourer vessels, the explosions created new nebulae. But the Devourers were learning. Their ships began to dodge the stellar charges, their hulls adapting to resist the Federation's weapons. The battle turned into a deadly dance of innovation and adaptation. Admiral, called Engineering Chief Menesio, they're trying to hack our computer systems. But sir, something strange is happening. They can't interface with our architect networks. Explain. The architect technology exists partially outside normal spacetime. Remember, the Devourers can only consume what exists fully in our reality. They can't touch the parts of our systems that exist in other dimensions. Haiyan Wu realized the key to victory. All ships, activate full architect enhancement. Transfer all systems. Two-dimensional overlap mode. Across the Federation fleet, ships began to change. Their hulls became translucent, existing simultaneously in multiple realities. Their weapons fired from dimensions the Devourers couldn't access. Their shields operated according to physics that predated the current universe. The Devourer commander's image appeared on screen again, its form flickering with confusion and, for the first time, fear. Impossible, it said. Your technology is older than ours. How can a young species possess ancient power?